But let's just get right into it. So Joe Biden, he's been in the news all over the place. People talking about his age. People have been talking about him getting COVID, and now recently this whole monkeypox vaccine. There's a whole bunch of drama going on with the Biden administration. So let's just go right with the first comment. This is from the NFT High Indian. He is a pretty big influencer in the NFT and crypto space, around 100K followers. And the high Indian says he belongs in a retirement home. So Carolyn Maloney, senior Democrat, Carolyn Maloney actually went on record, and she's a Democrat, very much, high on the Biden administration, but she actually went on the record saying that she does not believe that President Biden is going to run for 2024. When called out about it, she apologized, but then still said, she did apologize. I do apologize. If you do run Biden, I'll stand with you. But then she even went on record again saying, however, I still don't believe that he is going to run. What are your thoughts on him? He's like 79. He'll be like, 81-ish by the time 2024 rolls around. What are your thoughts on like a possible age limitation when it comes to politicians and just Joe Biden in general? Just his age is catching up to him. I know he had that big handshake go viral where he went to shake Chuck Schumer's hand, and then Chuck walked away, and it looked like Biden forgot, that he went to shake the hand. So a whole bunch of drama going on with Biden. What's your thoughts on that?
So, as far as like an age limit for the presidency goes, right? It's like, maybe somebody that's in their 90s shouldn't be able to be president, right? That's a little too old. But also at the same time, age is also just a number. It's like really more about your mental health. And just like, I'll just say it, like Biden's mental health isn't so great. At least in my opinion, the most recent video that I've seen of him was he was saying that inflation was at 0, and he said it about 10 times in that video. I swear, if you didn't see it, I'll send it to you after this, I swear. But he truly said this, and he said, inflation is at 0. Inflation is at 0. And it's like, that is not the case, man. But he's saying this to try to get the American people, the regular old guy sitting in his house watching TV, to believe this, right? And it's really not true. And I don't know, maybe he believes it himself too. Maybe he doesn't. I really don't know what that's all about. But the fact of the matter is that he truly does not know like where he is or what's going on half the time. And that's just my outside perspective. But, it's, I don't know. As far as like him running again, I have a feeling that it's not going to happen. And if it does, shortly after, somebody else will take over, as if they're not already taking over in the first place now. Like we might have Kamala come in, right? Or something like that. That would be my guess.
Yeah, that would make sense. She is the the VP. Some other names, people are talking about Pete Buttigieg and other people like that. One person that isn't going to be old enough to run, so kind of on the opposite end of the spectrum. People are too old now. People who are being too young. AOC has been in the news as well. Jesse Waters or Watters, I can never pronounce his last name. From Fox News, went on record say that because she's young, she's not smart. There was like a whole controversy because he said something about her not being ripe enough because she has never had a kid or has never been pregnant, so therefore shouldn't be able to take office. What are your thoughts on that and just age in general when it comes to the other opposite end of the spectrum?
I don't think that a younger person should be denied running for president. Like, what's the age limit for presidency right now? It's 35, correct?
I believe so. Yeah.
Yeah, 35. So that's I think that anybody who's like in their 20s, right, who understands the politics of it and the economy and things like that should be given a shot. I don't think that, just because you're in your 20s means that you shouldn't be allowed to run for president, right? And it's always up to the American people to make the decision of who they want in office. So I feel like the age limit on the younger side is definitely a little bit more bogus. Sure.
So speaking of age and just Biden in general, he was diagnosed with COVID recently. Got had a few negative tests in a row. I think it was like 4 in a row, and then all of a sudden, boom, positive again. It was a rebound COVID. I guess. Well, first of all, I just want to read one of the comments off of that. So I made a TikTok about him getting the rebound COVID, and Koki from the comment section said, Kamala really said second time's the charm. I thought that was great. I'm just picturing her sitting there just waiting, oh, here's my chance. Everyone kept saying that Biden's old, Harris is gonna come and try, be the president by the end of 2024, and it almost happened here, but he seemed like, for the most part, pretty healthy. As far as he was coughing a little bit during the most recent speech, and he heard the whole handshake. Maybe that was because he was recovering. What do you think about this whole rebound COVID? I know they were saying it was because of a certain drug. Now they're saying it could happen to anyone. Is this something to worry about, or is it like this whole COVID, like just in general, like this is still like all like no one knows still, like it appears like this is always something new, when it comes to a complication about it.
All right. Well, I'll give you two versions of my answers. I'll give you the normal answer, and then I'll give you the conspiracy answer. Right. So the normal answer is that yes, it's possible to get COVID 2 times. Is it possible to get it 2 times in a row like that, like within like 4 days of each other? I don't know. Also, the whole thing is that like maybe the test that he took that day where it was negative was incorrect. That's also a possibility too, right? He could have just had it the whole time. So there's a lot of things, a lot of variables there. But as far as like the conspiracy answer side of things, I also think that the Democratic Party is going to use COVID and monkeypox to scare people into voting for them again, right? And and also the whole thing with the at-home ballots, right? I think that they want that to happen again, right? Because I'm not going to say that I know for sure that there was a rig or whatever in the election last time, but is it easier to rig an election when it's mail-in ballots? Yeah, most likely, right? Because there's nobody's going to a physical building to actually place a vote. Everybody's just mailing it in, and anybody under the sun could be putting a letter in a mailbox.
That's
right?
a good point. It's hard to regulate, yeah.
Exactly. So, like, I think there's two sides of that, but I do think that COVID and monkeypox are, yes, they're obviously real and we should worry about them, but also at the same time, they're also scare tactics to help get America back to kind of the same situation that it was in before Biden got elected, right? Because if we're in that same situation again, the chances of him getting elected again are higher because that is the situation that he was elected in. Make sense?
Oh, you're still like trying to recreate the whole reason that he was elected almost.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, that's yeah.
Well, speaking of monkeypox, another TikTok I made was about the Biden administration's plan as far as the vaccines go with monkeypox. Apparently, in order, they have a limited supply, and in order to make that limited supply, use as much as possible and get it to as many people, instead of giving a full dose of the vaccine, they're now going to be giving fractions of the vaccine to people. And in order to make it, worth it or, actually able to happen, typically they give people shots for the monkeypox vaccine, like, beneath the skin. So now what they're planning on doing is doing it in between the layers of the skin, hoping it gets to the bloodstream quicker. I'm not a scientist. I just made that up. Actually, I have no idea why. But like that, like the whole thinking is by doing it, like, in between the layers of the skin, they don't have to use the full vaccine. So now instead of giving people like legitimate vaccine, now everyone's just getting like a fraction of the vaccine. Some people are saying like, oh, it's a great idea, get as many vaccines out as possible. Some are saying this isn't a great, this isn't a good idea. Like, why are we splitting up vaccines? And even the manufacturers of the vaccines said it wasn't a good idea.
Right.
However, the Biden administration said the reason why the manufacturer is saying that is because the manufacturer makes money per sale. So for splitting, fractionalizing the vaccine, manufacturer makes less money. So Dylan on the TikTok comments commented, Biden trying to be cheap. Do you think that this is Biden trying to be cheap, or do you think that this is actually him trying to save more lives by fractionalizing the vaccine?
I don't think either of those things, if you want the truth. I mean, I don't think it's Biden trying to be cheap. Obviously, he doesn't care about money and money spending, in my opinion. Like, I really just don't think he cares about that. And then number two, on the other side, do I think it's going to be a better way for us to get this vaccine? I mean, I don't know. I don't really think that we need a monkeypox vaccine right now. I mean, there's only however many cases. It's not something that's widespread pandemic yet, but we're kind of treating it that way because of what happened with COVID. So we're kind of just like assuming that, oh, this is the next pandemic now. But pandemics don't come every year, right? Like, it's just a little ridiculous, in my opinion, to assume that monkeypox is going to be this widespread thing where everybody's getting it. We're on lockdown again. I just don't think that's going to happen. I hope it's not going to happen. But I honestly don't think that we need a monkeypox vaccine right now. You know, I just I can't get behind it. What can I tell you?
Yeah, I know with this monkeypox, apparently it's like a variant of the typical monkeypox that's found in Africa. This variant that is
Mhm.
now, in the United States, apparently instead of like COVID or typical monkeypox, it can't be transmitted as easily through coughing or this, that, whatever. Like the main way it's transmitted is through sexual contact and all that kind of stuff. So I'm not too worried about it being like a COVID. Like it's not like everyone's going out like
Right.
outside and like
Mhm.
banging each other like jackrabbits, giving each other monkeypox. So like, it's not like COVID is a little bit different, I think, than this than monkeypox. But so that was Biden. Let's move on to Mr. Donald Trump.
Mhm.
So a lot of stuff. He's always in the news. He loves being in the news. Most recently, he had the Mar-a-Lago estate
Yeah.
raid or search, however you want to call it.
Mhm.
FBI officials called it a like I forget exactly the wording for it. I know that it was basically a fail. Let me actually look it up. I do have it right here. They called it a spectacular backfire. Apparently, they wanted to be like a low key deal. They just do the search, they get out, no one knows about it. Like, they didn't want to give Trump a platform to talk about, turn the political thing. Of course, they totally messed that up. It's all over social media.
Of course.
The Money Leg commented on the my TikTok about this. The Money Lake says he had some damning. He had some damning files on the Dems. They really wanted it back. So, do you think that the reason for this FBI search was political? It was about trying to get some files that maybe the Democrats didn't want to be out in the public, or or was it strictly a routine search? He actually did have documents he shouldn't have had. He brought from the White House.
Oh man, I don't know, man. It's like, is anything with this man that happens with this man routine? I don't know, man. But I mean, it could really go. It could really be either one. Look, I'm somebody who I can form my opinion on things, but I'll always know in my head that the other side could be right. Right? It's like it's all about the facts for me in the end of the day. But as far as that goes, it could have been a routine. It could have just been like, oh, we're just going to check it out and search and see what's going on at his house, right? But at the same time, the other thing that this person, Moneyleg, said, he had some damning files on the Dems. They really wanted it back. That's also totally possible in my head too, right? I don't knock it off as that's impossible. There's no way that's why they went to his house, because that's how politics works. People fight with each other, and people have dirt on each other, and they don't want them to have that dirt anymore. And that's probably one of the most valuable things in the world for these types of people, is if somebody else has dirt on you, you don't want that person around. You don't want that person to have that dirt. It's totally possible that that could be the case. I also see somebody here said the greatest president, Donald J. Trump, will realistically win Republican nomination, then run as his vice president. If he was to run, I think that would be true. I don't know if for sure if he's going to run or not. Obviously, like he said that he was thinking about it, but honestly, I feel like a part of him, or a part of the whole Trump administration in general, is probably saying maybe it's not a great idea for you to do it. Maybe we should get somebody else in here with us, and then you could just kind of be like an advisor to him. I feel like something like that is more possible than Trump actually running again, because the whole thing is that Trump, while he was president, there was so much, it was such an uproar amongst Americans, right? And
Hmm.
like, do we want the world to go back to that again? Probably not, right? Like, I personally, I would be totally fine with him being president again, right? The market was great. I did great. I made a lot of money. It was a fantastic time. Gas was super cheap, right? But at the same time, do we want all of this division between Americans again? Probably not. So it might be in the best interest for America if he doesn't run, and then we just get maybe somebody else who kind of has the same values that he has.
Hmm. Yeah, and that comment you were talking about was from Drew Aller, and then
Yes.
David also said, honestly, I'd be happy with either one, talking about DeSantis or Trump. I
Hmm.
have to do more research on DeSantis, but he seems like a less in-your-face version of Trump. So I personally don't know much about DeSantis. From what I've heard, he kind of seems like he's 40 something years old. It's like a much younger, less celebrity in your face Donald Trump like version of Trump, which could be interesting having like as in the comment section, it was very mixed between people who wanted Trump people who wanted DeSantis. There were some people who were saying, you know, Trump maybe as the VP because, you know, Trump did face off against Biden. You know, he did lose already as it was. So maybe having him go against him twice, maybe not, might not be the, you know, the best play. And then of course, the people in the comments who like Kavi, who said, not going through another 4 years of that hell again. DeSantis is terrible too. And then Max said, moving to Canada. So yeah, of course, as always, you know, like you kind of like you were just saying, you know, like Trump, you know, regardless of Republican, Democrat, whatever, you know, he is a very polarizing figure, and you know, he definitely has a lot of controversy behind him. So like you said, like maybe, you know, maybe we don't want 4 more years of that controversy, not necessarily 4 more years of that of the politics and you know what he did, but as far as you know what came from it, as far as the controversy, you know, the divide, you know, like I think that you might be right, like you know, maybe having somebody like-minded, but you know, not with the big name Donald Trump might be the way to go.
And also probably not as loud is a good thing too.
Yeah.
You know, because as much as I do like him as a president, he did also definitely say some things that he probably shouldn't have said out loud. You know what I mean? Like he definitely I could definitely understand why people disliked him too. So.
Oh yeah. Yeah, he definitely was very opinionated. That's for sure. So another big trending topic that brings up a lot of opinions is the Brittany Griner trial. So for those who don't know, Brittany Griner went over to Russia. She's a WNBA star, really great player in the WNBA, like top 3 player. Went over to Russia to play basketball in Russia. Didn't realize, according to her, didn't realize that she had 2 cannabis cartridges on her. These were less than a gram total. I think like one was like 0.25, one was like 4 or 5 or whatever. So less than a gram total of cannabis. Got caught and got charged for trafficking and drug possession, all this stuff. And just got sentenced to 9 years in Russian prison for less than a gram of marijuana. So of course everyone's, you know, up in arms about that. There were some people who were saying like, oh, that's, you know, that's not fair. She's being used as a political pawn. Then there are the other ones who don't like, you know, who don't like Brittany Griner. She has gone on record before, you know, I didn't personally see it, but everyone's saying that she like was anti-America, or you know, might have said some stuff against America. I'm assuming, you know, she is a you know, LGTB is it LGTB. She is a LGTB you know, LGBTQ. She is LGBTQ, you know, African American descent. So, you know, in America, you know, there is a lot of reasons to be maybe not thrilled with, you know, the current situation. So, you know, I don't know exactly what she said. It could have just been something as simple as like, I don't like the politics. You know, I'd rather not be you know, I don't like racism, or it could, you know, I don't know exactly what she said, but the big thing is that now that she's over in Russia, you know, we're not on the greatest terms with them. Right. They're, you know, like because of that, you know, they want to make a trade for her. The trade being Brittany Griner and Paul Whelan, who's an ex-Marine charged for espionage charges. They want to trade them for Victor Bout, who is the merchant of death, humongous Russian arms dealer. And they haven't said exactly who the second one is. They're debating between this Russian hacker, this murderer, like convicted murderer. It's just like, wow. A lot of people are thinking that maybe Russia's taking advantage. So like in the comment section, Aunt Grovey was saying, so basically supervillains for Brittany Griner. And then France was saying, y'all realize she's a pawn. It's not about the sentence or the crime. It's about leverage. What do you think? Do you think that this is, you know, I mean, Russia is usually strict, but not this strict. There was somebody else who just, I think it was like 2019. So, you know, there's that Aubrey Lorber who was also arrested, like, I think it was in 2019 for this, you know, same charges, marijuana possession, trafficking, except she had 19 grams and spent 2 months in Russian prison before getting sent back to America. So here we got Brittany with less than a gram, 9 years. What do you think about this whole thing? Is it, you know, political move on Russia's part? You know, does she belong there for saying, like, you know, whatever she said about America, or should America bring their people back?
I mean, dude, obviously it's a political move on Russia's part. I mean, like, you know, you just arrested somebody and put them in jail for 9 years for a less amount of weed than it takes to actually roll a blunt. Right, like
yes, that's the best way of putting it.
I think that's ridiculous. You know, I mean, nobody should be in jail for having weed in general. You know, I mean, it sucks because she went to Russia. you know, and she took it with her. Maybe she shouldn't have done that too, you know,
Right.
like maybe that was a stupid idea, Brittany, but at the same time, yes, it is a little rough. I mean, it's very rough, honestly. Like, you know, you're in jail in Russia. I'm sure that's probably 10 times worse than it is here in America too. So yeah, I think that Franz, you know, he said that she's a pawn. It's not about the sense of the crime; it's about leverage. I think that comment is spot on. I think that it is all about leverage, right? And they wanted to have people that America cares about to get back the people that they care about, and you know, and we'll see what happens. But I mean, in general, I mean, marijuana should just be illegal across the board. I
Oh
mean,
yeah.
there's no true negative effects on you. In fact, it actually helps a lot of diseases that people get. You know, right?
Yeah.
It's been proven to get people out of cancer. You know, the CBD. They don't even have to smoke weed. They could just buy like CBD and take that. And sometimes that actually helps. It's been proven to help. And, you know, the fact that we weren't using it in cancer treatment for a long time is just absolutely ridiculous. I think they finally started doing it now here in America because it's become more of a common thing for people to be comfortable with. But yeah, I mean, it's totally wrong that she's in prison, whether or not whatever she said about America, and you know, all of that is another topic for another day. But she
Exactly.
shouldn't be there for weed. No.
Right. And Just Curran said, how about everyone in jail in the US over similar crimes? Which kind of draws to your point you just made about,
Mhm.
about cannabis in general. I mean, like you said, I mean, like people shouldn't be going to jail over this. I mean, I saw this one post on I believe it was like Facebook or Instagram of someone who just like spent like 30 years in jail for possession of marijuana. And
Horrible.
they took a picture, like a selfie, and it was them with a billboard behind them that said, recreational marijuana delivered to your door. And the caption, like the guy was like, I had to spend 30 years in prison for, I think it was like 10 grams or something.
Wow.
And like, not like enough to like, be selling, making like being a drug dealer or whatever. And meanwhile, next thing you know, you can get 10 grams delivered to your door here in 2020. It's ridiculous how the justice system is dealing with marijuana in general. I believe personally.
Yeah, that is. I think that people like that person should get some kind of reparations. Like honestly, like I mean, to be in jail for 30 years for something that they just finally decide, oh, you know what? Who cares?
Right.
Make it legal, right? Like
Like
it's not.
it didn't change. Like marijuana is not different like than it was like 30
No,
years ago.
no, not at all. In fact, if anything, it's actually safer now than it was years
Yeah.
ago, right? I
Yeah.
mean, people used to talk about how it was getting laced and all this stuff. Honestly, I think that all of that information was made up to scare people from doing it back then, because you also have to think about the fact that back then it was a lot easier to scare people because there was no TV, there was no internet yet.
Right.
So you couldn't really do your own research on anything. It was kind of just like I believe the TV and that was it.
Yeah, that was fact. The news is fact.
So, um, yeah, no, definitely anybody who is in prison right now, although I feel like they let a lot of those people
I
out
think
recently.
so.
Yeah.
Depending on the
So
state, I think.
at least they did that. But hell, man, I mean, those people spent years,
I
if not
know.
decades, in jail for something so trivial. It's like
I
ridiculous.
mean I could only imagine, what it would feel like being one of those people who 30, 20, 10, even 1 year, for
Yep.
something that nowadays you're getting like $100 fine for. Like for instance, Brittany Griner,
Hmm.
where she lives in Arizona, she did have it medically prescribed. So for her, if she was to get caught, where she lives in Arizona with that same amount of marijuana, she would have gotten $100 fine instead of 9 years in prison. Like it's wild. But so like my last question as far as the Brittany Griner debate goes is, would you make the trade? Two Americans, Brittany Griner, Paul Whelan, both wrongfully committed according to the US government for the merchant of death and a possible another murderer or hacker or whatever it may be. Is it worth it?
No, I wouldn't. Honestly, no,
Yeah.
because I think and as much as it sucks, and I do feel bad for Brittany, I think that for us to give back to people who are like war criminals, would be way too much, and we shouldn't do that. And just I mean, it's like it's a horrible situation, and it's hard to give an answer. But like if you had to make the tough decision, if you were the guy making that hard decision, if I was, I would probably say, no, we're not going to release a murderer and a war criminal. Like, we're
Right.
not going to do it.
Right. Speaking of sentences and crime and all that kind of stuff, courts and juries. So that, Brittany Griner, a lot of the people on the left side were defending her. People on the right side were kind of, against the whole deal or, exchange. On the other side of things, now we're going to be talking about two people who just got sentenced, where the people on the right side are kind of on their side, people on the left not so much. And the first one being Alex Jones. He was convicted, or he was charged with, I believe it was like a 49 million. He had a piece of paid $49 million, not charged, but he was sued. So around like $49 million. He went on his podcast saying how Sandy Hook was an inside job, how all the people involved with it were trying to we're part of this inside job. And then a couple parents who had whose child was a victim of the shooting, ended up suing them, because since Alex Jones was calling a conspiracy theory, people were giving them death threats for being part of the conspiracy theory, when in reality, and Alex Jones went on record saying it wasn't a conspiracy theory afterwards, but in reality it wasn't. Like their kid just got murdered in a school, and now next thing they know, they're getting death threats for being part of a conspiracy theory. So they sued, got $49 million off at around $49 million is still being contested. Eduardo Antonio commented, when freedom of speech isn't free. And Brandy Boy says, let's all do CNN then, easy money. So what do you think about this? Is this like should he have been charged this much? A lot of people are saying like yes, because he made a lot of money off the podcast, off of monetization for spreading lies. So in theory, he's just giving some of that money back. Others are saying freedom of speech, the media does this as it is already. What are your thoughts on this, the First Amendment and all this?
Well, absolutely, Brandy Boy's right, and it's not only CNN, it's not only them at all, it's all the media out there is just like completely spewing lies constantly back and forth,
except for MetaMattTV.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I got that from TV. Yeah.
No, I said except for MetaMattTV.
Oh, except for MetaMattTV. Yeah, dude. Yeah, absolutely. Nope. Everything we say here is 100% fact.
Hashtag media.
But the other comment there, Eduardo and Antonio has a great point. I mean, when freedom of speech isn't free, I mean, it's absolutely true. Right? He said something. He came out and said his opinion on something, right? And he said it's true. And you know what? I could sit here, and if I think the sky is green, I could tell you the sky is green and it's true. And you can't do anything about it because this is America. Okay? That's how it works. That's how it works here, man. That's how it used to work. But now things have changed, and freedom of speech, like Eduardo said, isn't free. We're starting to see more of that, like, people say things and then they're getting in trouble for it now. Right, especially because of the internet, because everything is I'm going to ruin you on social media now because you just said that. Everybody has their phones out recording every single thing that everybody says, especially when there's some kind of argument going on. They record it, right? Because it's like, oh, now I have you blackmailed right here. I'm going to send it out on my Twitter, Instagram, everything. So I think that it is bogus that he should even be getting any type of penalty for saying the things that he said. Right. I'm not going to say whether or not I agree with him because that's not important. What's important is that he had an opinion and he wanted to share it with people. And he's the type of guy who has that kind of platform where he's able to do that. So he uses his influence just like other influencers do. And he's getting, he's getting shit for it. We're allowed to curse, right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah, of course.
Yeah. So he's getting shit for it. And I mean that's really it. I mean it's freedom of speech, hands down. That's it. That's it. That's all it should be.
So do you think that the parents who are suing him are in the right for suing him, because they were getting death threats for being because he was saying the parents involved.
He said that the parents were involved too.
Well, he's saying it's an inside job, and he was, yeah.
That's out of his mind. Out of his mind for that one. I mean, like, there's no way. Like, I could get behind maybe the cops were, but I cannot get behind the parents were. Like, that's absolutely
right. And that's the controversy, and that's why the parents were suing him, because they were getting death threats for being part of this inside job, which,
Yeah.
you
Well,
know,
I don't know how I don't know if that's a
I
reason to
don't,
be able to sue or not. But
I
like,
don't
if
know
they
either.
can, then yeah, sue them because that's screwed up. But like,
Yeah.
that's definitely a screwed up thing to say. Again, I'll argue until the death that he has the right to say it.
Right.
But he is that is definitely super screwed up, man. There's no way that a parent would know that a child that they love, that they have raised for years, right? Because these weren't like little babies, right?
Right.
These were like kids.
Right.
Like these are children that their parents love, and they are expecting them to come home that day. There is absolutely no way that they would allow something like that to happen to their kid.
Right. Exactly. Yeah, no, 100%. Yeah. So another one who was in the news, Guy Reffitt, who just got charged recently. I believe it was 7 years in prison. He was charged for he was part of the U.S. Capitol riots, storming the U.S. Capitol. He actually, I believe, he brought a gun with him, which is why he was charged. Some people were saying, 7 years is a lot for a protest, is what they call it, riot, whatever you want to say. Some people were saying that he's being used as an example. Because now that he got charged, he was one of the first ones to fight the plea bargain. Then he got charged 7 years. So now they're expecting everyone else to do the plea bargain. So some people are saying he's being used as an example. His own kids, one of them, his daughter, is saying that he, if Guy Reffitt is getting charged 7 years, then Donald Trump should be charged for prison as well because he instigated the whole riots. That's what she said. His own son is the one who actually turned him into the FBI and was saying that he deserves all the charges. What do you think about all this?
So they're saying that this guy's son, right? I'm sorry, I lost you for a second. You're saying that this guy's son turned him into the FBI for making those statements?
So the son was the one who informed the FBI. I'm not exactly sure what he informed them, but the son was a reason why the FBI found Guy Reffitt or was able to realize that he was one of the ones that part of the riots. But basically the son was one of the main factors that he got turned into the FBI.
Gotcha. So I mean I don't know about that one, bro.
Yeah, you're atypical Kennedy says, don't try to overthrow a democracy and you won't spend years in prison. It's pretty simple. And then Dan says all he did was hold a gun at the Capitol, community service, and a fine, absolute maximum. And the son is a massive loser, your own father. So very different sides as far as this goes. The first comment, of course, being against Guy Reffitt, saying that he was, overthrowing democracy. And a lot of people are saying that, by storming the Capitol, the White House, just by storming the Capitol, with guns and this, that, whatever, threatening to, I think he threatened to he said he wanted to see Nancy Pelosi's head roll downstairs or something like that, which is freedom of speech, like you were saying before.
No, but you know what? I mean, when you storm into a place with a gun and you want to see somebody's head, I mean, you're gonna go to jail.
Yeah,
man.
and that's the other end. Yeah, it's
that's what happens.
You have a gun with you. Sorry, but that's not necessarily freedom. That's it's freedom of speech is saying one thing, and maybe you probably should be making death threats, but when you storm the Capitol with a gun, threatening people, threatening to politicians' heads downstairs and stuff like that, you probably are asking for something to happen. But yeah, what do you think about his son though? Dan's calling him a massive loser. Yeah, was his son? Some people were commending the son, you're, just because he's your father doesn't mean that you shouldn't hold him accountable. And some are saying oh, come on, it's your own blood. Even if he committed murder, you shouldn't turn your own blood in. What do you think about that?
I'm very torn on that one because I believe that family is a sacred thing, right? I mean, I'm Italian, right? The Godfather, right? At my daughter's wedding, but I think that listen, that's their shit. If they have, if the son didn't like the dad and he wants to get him in trouble or whatever, then I honestly, I truly don't care either way. But I think that, if it was me in that situation, I wouldn't have ratted out my own father.
Yeah, maybe the son got his Xbox taken away one too many times or something.
Yeah.
So the next one we're going to be talking about is, and we kind of discussed it a little bit with monkeypox and COVID. It's just this whole end of the world narrative. Right now where we have people talking about monkeypox, we have people talking about COVID, climate change is a big one after the Inflation Reduction Act, and now even people are talking about polio. And in New York, over 1,000 cases of or no,
Really?
sorry, over 1,000 cases of monkeypox, but polio is a big one too. Everyone, people are calling it, or health officials are calling it the silent killer because people don't know that they're they're not symptomatic, they're still spreading it. It could be a pretty, they're saying it could be a pretty big even more so than monkeypox.
So yeah, I mean, yeah, I don't really, I haven't actually heard anything about the polio outbreak though, or if there is one or anything like that. Honestly, I mean, that's probably due to people, like even before COVID, like years before COVID, there were a lot of anti-vaxxers, right? Like they didn't want to let their kids get vaccinated for things, and
Right.
polio is one of the things that is, a normal thing for all of us to get vaccinated for. I mean, that's how we kind of eradicated that. And if it truly is coming back into America, I say shame on you, anti-vaxxers, because have your opinions or whatever, but there are certain things like the disease polio that is actually a fatal disease
Yeah.
that people should probably get vaccinated for. I mean,
Yeah.
we also get it for the chicken pox, right? I mean, chicken pox can be fatal too, right? It could be a mild case in children, but as an adult, it's very serious, right? So there are certain things that I think we should be, immunized for, and
I mean,
those
not
people. If it's true that there's really polio out there now, I mean, God, what is this world coming to
well,
at this point?
it's specifically in where we're from, New York.
Oh,
Not
great,
from, yeah,
awesome!
isn't that just amazing? Yeah,
Of course, it's in New
yeah,
York. Of course,
yeah.
it is.
And it's apparently it's being spread like more than people know because of the fact that people can get it without, because I didn't do all the research. I'm assuming, I know they're calling it the silent killer because it's being spread by people who don't know they have it. I'm assuming people who have the vaccine are getting, like, I don't know if it's like the COVID vaccine where you can still get it. I don't know exactly how that works, but all I know is that they're calling it the silent killer. Not a great thing. People who actually have the vaccine can still die from it. Apparently, it's if they are immune compromised. So kind of like the same deal with COVID. So it's just the whole. It's like COVID, but with like death and paralysis.
Yeah.
So like I was saying, the whole end of the world. That was monkeypox. Young 92 says, "Bro, the fuck people doing to get these diseases?" Monkeypox updates. So that's an interesting name. Says there's also over 1,000 cases of monkeypox in New York. So yeah, it's just why, like, first, it's like you said, like before, it's not like these are things that like used to happen every 2 years, like COVID, monkeypox, polio. Like what is happening? Like, is this like is it maybe like, and some, I heard some people saying, and actually this leads me to my next point. And my good friend Peru Creations, a great NFT artist with a great NFT project worth checking out, and a great TikTok channel also worth checking out. She said we cannot keep overusing Earth. Always worried about the future of Earth. And this is actually on one of my videos about Earth Overshoot Day, which is basically the day that we have basically overextended Earth's resources. That Earth can only produce so many resources per year. And every year, it's been a thing since the 70s. It's been December, and the 80s that went down like October. Now it's as early as July as the Earth Overshoot Day. We're still fine, according to scientists. For now, as far as that goes, as far as Earth Overshoot Day goes. But yeah, this is a lot of stuff coming out, with the climate change and the environment, with the Inflation Reduction Act. Some people are saying because of the the hot weather, that's why all these diseases are being spread, because they thrive more in the hot weather. They're not dying as easily in the cold. I don't know. I know there's sea turtles are now being like they're worried about sea turtles being extinct because sea turtles sex apparently when they're born is based off of the heat of the sand. So now there's like only females being born. Yeah, I didn't know about that either. Yeah, so apparently there's a bunch of female sea turtles out there, which obviously means no reproduction. So I guess like that's kind of wild. Like, unlike like it's like, I think it's one of the only animals that I've researched or heard about where their sex is literally just based off of the heat of like the sand, like they're either born in or however that works. I don't know, but it's interesting how that works. Yeah, I know, right? I was like, what?
I don't even believe it.
I don't even know if that, I mean, it was a media, like, for all it's a science. You know how scientists and the media is, like, who knows what's what anymore, right?
Yeah, I mean, I really, first of all, I mean, really, the sand, what the sand is, so the sand is too hot for boys to be born.
Yeah, because it's like
Basically.
it's over like 90 something, like a certain degree where if turtle eggs are, in a certain heat, apparently they just pop out female. I don't know exactly the science behind that. Um thank God that doesn't happen for humans because everyone in Florida just be probably we have no reproduction in Florida or the hot areas. But like I don't know. I don't know. But like are you worried at all about all about climate, change, the Inflation Reduction Act? You think it's a little too much? There's a lot of money going into into the climate change, into the IRS, arming their guards and all this. What do you think about this whole
Listen, whether or not climate change is a something that we need to worry about in the near future or the long-term future, okay, right? Because some people will argue that, we're going to be dead in 20 years because of climate change, right? Like, but then others will say, no, it's going to be fine for another couple of thousand years. Either one of those people could be right. But no matter which one is right, I would say it's fine. Go ahead, work on, keeping climate change down, like whatever. Like I personally like have no like negative feelings about them using money to try and better the earth. Okay, that's totally cool in my opinion. As far as like am I worried about it? No, not really, to be honest with you, because I think that I think a lot of people say like okay, for in New York, for example, right? Are you under the impression that like it's been getting hotter each year, kind of,
yeah,
right?
yeah. Oh
But
yeah,
it's not.
definitely.
It's not true though. It's really not because it seems like it is, and I was under that impression too. But it
What do you
truly,
mean?
like, I really don't think it is. Like, I think that it's been the same over the past 20 years, and I think it's just hot outside, and we feel like it's too hot.
I
Like,
mean, I remember, and I vividly remember, like I was a kid, so I would be like 10, no, like 15 years ago or so. I remember in
yeah,
October, Halloween was canceled because of snow.
yes, that too.
And I think like last October it was like 70s, like I could have
Yeah,
gone to
that's
the
true.
beach.
But New York is always getting this crazy weather though, man. I mean, it's always like, one day it's snowing, the next day we're on the beach. Like that's just how it's been. Like I could remember as far back as I could remember. I'm only 26. But I mean, as far as I know, New York has very volatile weather, kind of like stocks. They're volatile,
Nice
but
segue. Nice.
but I don't know. I think that either way, it's something that we should pay attention to,
Right.
and we should do something about. Yes.
Yeah, I mean, the fact of the matter is, the Earth isn't a machine. It's not some robot, with bolts and whatever. Like
No, it's
it's a
literally a
living.
living thing.
It's living,
It's
and
living,
maybe it wasn't made for humans to
and we
be
should definitely
doing what
take
we
more
do.
care of it.
Yes,
100%.
yes, that's all I'm
You know,
saying. Yeah,
I
I
think
don't think it
that
was made for us to do this.
is.
Yeah,
I think pollution is one of the bigger issues that we have,
mm,
honestly, especially in New York.
right.
God, I mean, how many times you go out? I mean, you live upstate, right? So see,
Connecticut, but like
all right,
Fairfield County,
Connecticut.
right there, basically.
You used to be in New York, I remember.
Yeah,
So
Queens.
in Queens, it's definitely like there's trash all over the floor. People
Oh
are
yeah.
throwing their trash out, like nobody cares, right? And
Mm,
then like the lake that we have here, the ocean that we have here, it's disgusting.
mm.
Okay, I could tell you from firsthand experience. I live on Staten Island. From firsthand experience, going to the beach on Staten Island, you don't want to go there because there are literally needles in the sand.
Mm.
So it's like it's disgusting. And that's New York. And obviously in a lot of other places there's tons of pollution too. I think that's one of the main things. People need to stop doing that. Number two, people need to recycle. Okay,
Mm.
I've gone to other states where I'm like, oh, I'm at my friend's house or I'm at my family's house, and I'm like, oh yeah, where's the recycling bin? And they're like, oh, we don't have one. We don't recycle. And I'm like, what do you mean you don't recycle? It's like going throughout my whole life, I always thought everybody recycled, but apparently not.
Like
I
I
lost you there. There you
No, I'm
go.
here. Yeah,
There you are.
that's why I didn't realize that wasn't like a thing.
Yeah, it's real. Like people really just don't recycle. Like they'll just throw their bottles in with their regular garbage. They tie it up. They throw it in the trash. Like
Mm,
that's kind of what happens, especially in places where they don't have like a sanitation service like we have here in New York. Where there are some places such as Washington State, for example, where you actually need to hire a private trash guy.
no
Like,
way.
yeah, I'm for real, man. I was just in Washington 2 weeks ago, and this is the truth. Like, they don't have a garbage man that regularly comes to their house and picks it up. they have to contract out a garbage company to come pick up.
Oh, well, yeah. I mean, that's what I do in Connecticut. I mean, I have this.
Okay,
I
so yeah,
pay
that's
like
what I'm saying,
$40 a month
right?
or whatever.
Because in New York, it's different, right? We don't have to worry about that at all. It's just like a normal thing. Like they just come around and pick it up.
That's probably part of your like taxes or something, I guess.
Yeah, sure, but you don't have to actually like make a phone call or like set it up.
Cool. I love that because it's the most annoying thing when you move to a new place. Like you just set the whole. Yeah, that's great, and it should be like that. I mean, everyone has trash, right?
Yeah, of course.
But no, off of what you're saying about New York and the pollution, and I actually wasn't planning on bringing this up. I did make a TikTok on sharks. Have you heard about the sharks in New York?
Vaguely, but
yeah. So apparently, and I don't know the exact stats. Actually, I do. Let me just give me like half a second. There have been. All right. So yeah. So apparently, actually not apparently, there have been 5 verified. There were 5 verified shark attacks. Could have been more since I made that video, but at least 5 verified shark attacks in New York or Long Island, I believe it was, the Sound, which is New York. 5. This just in July in 1 month.
Wow.
Apparently, the past decade prior to this, or actually, I don't even know if it's prior. I think it might even be including this. The past decade, there was 13.
Only 13?
13 in the past decade reported shark attacks in that one area, in that Long Island, in Long Island, in the New York, in the New York waters, in New York waters in general, I believe. Gotcha. 13 reported shark attacks in the past decade. The past month, 5. And the reason being, everyone's like, oh no, like now sharks, COVID, monkeypox, like, oh, like what's the world coming to? Actually, this is the positive thing, apparently, because the reason why they're doing this in New York, I guess they have like this big bill or whatever it may be, where like they're trying to take care of the environment, especially the marine environment, or life or whatever. Yeah. And I guess it's working because of what they're doing. Now the sharks are actually able to come in closer to shore because it's cleaner. Like, their prey is there, which wasn't there before because of how dirty it was. So, like, I guess New York is actually on the uprise when it comes to getting rid of pollution and that. When as far as the marine life goes, the only downside is now you have to worry about shark attacks.
Yeah, that's crazy. I didn't hear those numbers, right? So like 5 in the past July, 13 in the past 10 years.
That's a huge.
That's definitely insane. Like something's going on out there in shark world. Like I'm not really sure what it is, but maybe Poseidon's pissed off,
right?
Or maybe we also know the moon controls the waves, right? Maybe something's going on the moon.
But, what? It's Aquaman because of the whole Amber Heard deal.
There you go. Yeah, I don't know, man. I don't even know what to say about that, except that it's just insane to hear that.
Well, you're from New York. Are you worried? Are you gonna go in the water? Are you gonna go in the water this summer?
I'm not worried, no, because I don't go in the water in New York.
Okay.
I go to Jersey when I want to go to the beach.
I'm not gonna lie. Part of me wanted I wanted to ask you that because I wanted to hear you say water. I wanted because
wow.
Yeah, well, no. I mean, my grandmother is Long Island born and raised. My dad too. Like whenever I go over there, it's coffee and water.
Coffee and water, bro. Yeah,
right. I love it. But all right, so I know we talked about. I guess the funniest thing is I was like, hey, this is gonna be like a 20-minute thing. We've been having so much fun. It's like 50 minutes in. So the last 2 topics are gonna be off the politics, a little more fun. The first is gonna be about sports, and the next one's about celebrity drama, gossip, or whatever you want to call it. So the first one is sports, NFL. Have you seen these Guardian caps? These NFL Guardian caps. So if people have it, it's these like, it looks like kind of like the giant like padding basically they put on the helmet or over the helmet, and it looks goofy, but apparently it helps reduce impact up to around 20%, I believe, for like high school kids, smaller stature kids, around like 33%. They were saying. Everyone's talking about concussions in football, especially the high school kids, middle school kids, college kids who might not end up making a career out of it. Maybe not the best thing to concuss yourself a million times just for a sport. That's just me. This is my opinion personally. That being said, there are the people who are against these Guardian casts. They look goofy. Like what's next? We're gonna make them wear bubble wrap. People are saying, it's football, It's a man sport. What? So speaking of that, we have the comments section. Some people, like I said, are for it. Some people are against it. Jeff Murin says they might as well play flag football.
True.
So in that case, some people are saying, what's the point of football if you can't hit people? Some people are saying, with these paddings on, people are gonna, be get used to hitting with the helmets, and they take them off during the regular season. They're gonna hurt themselves. Some people are actually currently using them. Actually, what were you saying?
I was gonna say I think Mondo Cools is my favorite one. That's my
Mondo
favorite
Cool.
one.
Oh, so Mondo Cool. You want to read it?
Yeah, so he said, or they said,
Oh yeah, this is my
these
favorite.
aren't real. Are they real? I have no idea what is and isn't South Park
But
anymore. And the reason that's my favorite one is just because it's so spot on. I mean, South Park, the past 2-3 years, ever since South Park came out with the episodes about Trump and Hillary back in the day, it's been just like spot on, amazing. I love watching it because it's like exactly what's going on in the world. And I know this isn't a South Park segment, but those people actually write those episodes up until the last 6 minutes before they air. Believe it or not, if you go on YouTube, you could watch the making of South Park, and they actually write it within 6 minutes of the show airing, so that they could add as much last minute, right now stuff as they can.
That's smart though, because you know how many times I'm making these these news TikToks, and it's like, even for this day, I make them the day of, and like I next thing I know, I go on Google, and it's like a new thing happens. Like, now, like, what do I do? Well, yeah, no, that's huge.
It's very smart, yeah. But as far as like the helmets go, right? I mean, like I don't have anything against it. I mean, yes, maybe it does look a little stupid, but it's more protective. It's more beneficial to the players, right? And I mean, especially like you said, high school players, like, those people, those kids in reality shouldn't like throw away their life because they wanted to play a sport for a couple of years. Most of them, probably like over 90% of them, aren't going to end up making it to an NFL team,
even if they're really, 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 really good. Like, there's not that many. Like,
really big too.
You most of the time.
Yeah. So it's and that actually, there's a nice comparison that I have for that, right? So like I used to sell solar panels to residences.
Oh, me too.
Really?
Yeah, in New York, actually.
Get the hell out of here.
Yeah.
How have we never had that conversation before?
I don't know.
That's crazy. We're gonna talk more about that.
Yeah.
But, so what I used to do though, I used to knock the doors. Like I was door-to-door salesman.
Literally. Hey, your house looks like it could.
Yeah. And people used to tell me, and this was the number one reason that nobody wanted, is because solar panels are ugly. That's what they told me. Right? Wow. And now it's like, I get it and I don't get it at the same time. I get it because yes, it's your house. You want it to look nice, blah, 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 blah. But also it's like, come on, man. I mean, first of all, I don't think it's ugly personally. I think it looks cool, like sleek, especially when you get the black panels. But other than that,
it's like new age.
It's something that's going to number one, help us in general, help your state with their energy output, right? And then number two, it'll save you money, obviously, blah, blah, blah. I'm not here to sell you solar panels. Yeah. But it's also something that's good for the environment in the long run, right? I mean, if every house had solar on it, we would be in a much better state at this point as far as like using our fuels go. And like, maybe it would even help climate change. Like, honestly, it probably would. So like, to say something is ugly when it's going to be like the best thing for you, it's just stupid in my opinion.
Right. I mean, like, there's just so many things, like, helmets, riding a motorcycle looks silly to some people, but like, it protects you. That's a whole other story. But like, so Tommy Sherwood actually said, I think they should find a way to make the padding look better than wear them in games, which I'm not opposed to. I do think they look a little bit goofy. I mean,
they should make them look better. Yeah, like, okay, yeah, like we could make the style a little better than that.
Yeah, and right now they're not required for the NFL, and not required for the full season. It's just I think it's like the preseason, or sorry, no, practices in like the first 2 preseason games, and then back to business as usual. But I guess like, and this is the first time I heard of it, was like maybe like a week or 2 ago when I made this video, but apparently it's been a thing. Bobby and Tanner Hoover, I guess, have used it before. And there's a lot of people in the comment section on my TikTok who have been saying like, yeah, I've been using this before. It works. It doesn't work. It's like whatever. But like, Bobby says our linemen wear them at practice for high school. And Tanner Hoover says they're required. They're required at my high school. So it looks like, for like you were saying, for these high school kids, and possibly maybe college next, but like, at least, start with high school, it is required, which, like you were saying, like a very small percentage of these high school kids are going to make it to the NFL. So And I know people who I have friends who, I worked in the bar industry, the hospitality industry for a while. I've seen a lot of people in my life, talked to a lot of people in my life, and there were a lot of people who who were ex college football stars who are now not who never made it NFL, and like they're telling me like I wish I didn't go as hard because you might they're telling me their head is like they feel groggy in the morning and like their body aches in the night and this that whatever. It's like for what, like a great time for for like 6 years or whatever, however long you played, and I get it, it's a sport, but like why not make it a little more safe for kids, like in the NFL, maybe it's one thing, you're getting paid a lot of money to do it, but like I don't know.
Yeah, I think you know what I think what you said is the best thing is just make them look better. Like it's not that big of a deal, It's like,
Mhm.
and as far as like the high school kids go, it's like I don't care if their helmets are ugly. Okay, but like but the NFL players, yes, because it is such a everybody watches it on TV. It's this big thing, right? And it might to Americans, it might just look silly that they're wearing those helmets, and I get it, right? I mean, it's football is a national pastime. Everybody loves to watch football, so yeah, just make it look better, and we're good.
Yeah.
Like that's pretty much it. But I think that people should wear them. Like it's like you just said. Like who wants to grow up with like constant headaches?
Right. Yeah, I
It's
mean,
not worth it.
it's for a life, 20 years of your life, for a lifetime of headaches, pain, whatever it may be. So our
Yep.
next topic is going to be a little bit on the celebrity side of things, celebrity gossip. I'm not going to lie, a lot of these I made just for the clickbaity, like two of them I made for clickbait.
Mhm.
One was about Kim Kardashian, one about Mia Khalifa. Obviously I could put like a nice picture of them. They look good. Easy clickbait. Oh, who's this hot girl? Which is funny because so social media is. You see a nice looking girl is like, oh, I'm gonna check that out. Which is the struggle for Well, I'm not even gonna go there, but like obviously men have it way easier in every aspect of life except for TikToking because we don't have the access to get those views, the cheap views for. But
That's what we call a thirst trap.
yeah, thirst trap. Yeah, so I don't have them personally, but I'm still able to make news about them and use them. The Kim Kardashian one got like around like 70K views. Mia Khalifa one got like 40K views. Meanwhile, some political ones are getting like 2, 3, 4, 5K. It's like, well, we know where people care about.
Yep.
So let's start with the Kim Kardashian. That's the biggest one, I believe. Kim Kardashian, Pete Davidson broke up. I couldn't even believe they're together in the first place. Personally, I think Pete Davidson is great. I just don't think the two of them really, make sense together.
Mhm.
Graduation guy says, is it graduation? Yeah, graduation guy says, I don't know, man. All I know is that Kanye literally does not lose. So what he's referencing is, Pete Davidson. So Kanye West and Kim Kardashian,
Yes.
were
Yes.
married, had kids, that whatever, broke up. Pete Davidson started dating her, and Kanye was not happy about that. There's all this drama, like him going to the birthday parties and messing things up, this, that, whatever. In my comment section, I'm not gonna lie, I made this expecting everyone to be like pro Pete Davidson. Like I thought I was gonna get like a whole bunch of comments like, oh, Kanye is crazy, Kanye's a nut job, this, that, whatever. It was a complete opposite. Everybody in my comment section was like, W for Kanye, this guy's skeet, Pete Davidson, like F Pete Davidson,
Sure.
he's a drug addict, this, that. I was expecting the complete opposite, left. I thought it was gonna be like a bunch of people on the left, who like Pete Davidson. I guess it was
Yeah.
not the case though. So I guess the reason why they broke up, Kim is old. I don't know her exact age. She's older than Pete, I believe by around 10 years. She has like
Yep.
a whole bunch of kids. She wants to focus on the kids, be a mom, kind of do that. I think Pete Davidson's like younger. I think he's like 28.
He's around
He
my
wants,
age. Yeah.
yeah, he wants to do things that 28-year-olds do, which is like a common thing that happens in just every relationship. But now, this is a celebrity one, everyone cares about it. Well, I mean, Kim Kardashian, Kanye. Do you think Kanye West was out of line? Do you think that, he was just being a protective father or, good ex-husband? Or what do you think about all this?
So I didn't even hear you. What did Kanye do again? Like,
So he didn't like necessarily make the breakup was because of the age difference, the kid, the differences in
yeah.
life. But Kanye was also another big reason, and him he made life very hard for the two of them.
Okay. Gotcha.
But on social media, showing up to different different events that he wasn't like supposed to go to ruin them for them. Apparently, I don't know much about all the celebrity gossip
Okay.
myself, but so apparently Kanye, he has kids with Kim. His defense, I guess, being, it's my kids. I should be able to do whatever I want. Whereas, Pete's, I guess, defense is like, hey, like, you're the ex, like, I'll, do the whole being an ex, be the kid's father and all, but you don't need to like get involved in my relationship with, with your ex or whatever,
Mhm.
So I don't know what your thoughts are about all that.
Um, I mean, I could see being on both sides in a way, I suppose. I mean, like Kanye, he's right. It's his children, and I mean, he probably cares about them, and he probably still cares about Kim too, and he has the right to see his kids, and as far as like making their life miserable, that's if that's something that he wants to do, I mean, their life can't be that miserable. They're
Right.
billionaires, right? So
Right.
like, or millionaires rather, probably not, maybe not billionaires.
Maybe, I don't know. It's been two of them, maybe.
Kim might, yeah, between the two of them, right? Yeah. And then Pete Davidson. I mean, it's funny that I'm the one that's on this segment today because I'm from Staten Island, where
Oh, there you go. Yeah.
Pete Davidson actually comes from, right? I didn't know him growing up, but I actually know a lot of people who went to school with him.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So, and actually, one of my friends used to go hang out with him, lived right down the block from him. So, it's just funny that I'm here to talk about this, but
Hometown hero.
he actually fun fact, he actually got a tattoo of Kim Kardashian
Yeah.
like only like a week or two after they went out or something like that.
Yeah, well, that's his MO. He does Adriana Grande too, or yeah, like a bunch of people. That's just like his thing, apparently.
It's like, I get it. You know what? I mean, if I was dating Ariana Grande, I'd probably want to get a tattoo of her too. Like, I'll do anything to lock that down, right? I mean, clearly it didn't work, right? But I mean, he made the attempt, and that's all we can do as men.
More power to him.
I think I don't know. I mean, they broke up. I saw that coming from a mile away. I'm sure he probably saw it coming from a mile away too, right? He's not dumb. He knows how it works. They're all superstars. Like,
Right.
those relationships do not last very often. So at least he got to have his fun at the
Right.
end of the
Yeah.
day, and
He's in the headlines, and who's next? First Adriana Grande. I don't even know how this dude. Like, now then next Kim, like who's next? Like freaking like Heidi Klum. I know she's not single, but like this dude's like
Heidi Klum.
pulling in the models like left
She
and
is,
right.
yeah, she is like a lot older though, I think,
Yeah,
than
no,
Kim.
yeah. I mean,
Pretty
so is
sure
Kim. Older than
yeah,
Pete.
yeah. Kim
He's
is
just
probably
coming up
almost
the
40.
yeah.
Heidi, I believe, is almost 50.
Yeah, no, yeah, she's definitely
Or if not already in her 50s.
right.
Yeah.
So another celebrity in the news this year, Ezra Miller, star of the Flash, the movie series, not the TV series. He is just something else. He got arrested recently, or no, he got charged recently for burglary, like broke into someone's house, and according to footage, stole some alcohol, this, that, whatever. I know that he was charged earlier in the either, I think it was early in the year, just earlier in general, for choking some lady in a bar in Iceland. He's been escorted out of bars for disorderly conduct with arguments. He threw a chair at some lady in Hawaii. And this dude's just like insane, and and Warner Bros is still going through with the Flash movie. I mean, it's it is filmed and edited, whatever, this, that, whatever. So in theory it makes sense, but a lot of people were like, no, like, get this guy out of here. Like, after all this stuff he's doing, they're like boycotting it, this, that, whatever.
Mhm.
The NFT High Indian said, this is one of my favorites. He goes,
Mhm.
damn, they canceled Will Smith for slapping one person, which is true, because I think Will Smith was supposed to be like in Bad Boys, like, I don't know, 10 or whatever, and was like taken out of it, like a whole
Yeah.
bunch of other movies. He was taken out for slapping Chris Rock, slapping a dude. And meanwhile, Ezra Miller is throwing chairs at people, choking people, and robbing people. Apparently, he was also like reportedly, like, I don't know, housing a mother and 3 children with like illegal firearms and drugs in the house and all this other stuff. Like, he has all these
Cool.
like, and meanwhile, he's like, no problem. Let's go ahead with the movie. Like Warner Bros is saying, and like the High Indian said, like, meanwhile, Will Smith's getting canceled for one slap. Like, do you think that one slap is, even though it was in the Oscars, do you think that that's substantially worse than throwing chairs at people, choking people,
No,
robbing people, like housing people with firearms and whatever. Like
no,
what?
definitely not. And also like Will Smith was standing up for his wife too. Like
Yeah.
completely different situation, man.
Right.
You know, I mean, like that. That's ridiculous. But also Marvel is Disney, right?
This is DC
Oh,
actually.
it's
This is
DC.
Warner Bros. Yeah.
Oh, it's Warner
Um,
Bros. Okay.
yeah.
I don't really know too much about the politics of Warner Bros. So I don't really know how they operate or what they care about, right? But
Right.
I think that it's. I mean, I agree with the people who are pissed off. Honestly, like I
Mm.
mean, we Will Smith was just defending his wife because Chris Rock made a joke about her, which
Yeah.
Chris Rock was totally in his rights to make a joke about her. I mean, he's a comedian. This is what
Right. It's just
comedians do.
you do.
You
Yeah.
know,
Exactly.
maybe Will Smith did like lose his temper there. Maybe that is true, and maybe he shouldn't have. But at the same time, it's like not something that he should have been canceled for. Like people get angry at each other. Like if I slapped somebody for being an ass, I would hope that I'm not gonna. My entire life isn't going to go downhill because I did that, right? Like we
Right.
have the right to be mad at people.
Right.
But this other guy here, right? He's I mean, he's just doing like he's literally committing crimes.
Yeah, he's committing crimes. Like, yeah, I know Will Smith is salt, and of course, comedians is the whole freedom of speech thing. Comedians should be able to say what they want to say. I get the whole argument, but like trying to compare one slap given at the Oscars, like that really matters, compared to what Ezra Miller is. It's just kind of insane. I personally think, like, just don't throw chairs at people. It's
Yeah,
that easy.
yeah.
Another celebrity that was in the news, and this is actually the last story as far as the TikToks go, is James, do you know who Mia Khalifa is?
I do.
Okay, so the funniest thing, like whenever I bring this up, like there are some people like, who, what? And I don't know. It's like, come on. So she adult entertainer, was very, 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 very popular. She only was in the adult
Yep.
entertainment industry for like less than a year or something. Kind of the same deal like Lana Rhoades. She did for like 6 months, got like super, super famous and left. That's all she's known for. Same deal with Lana Rhoades. Actually, Mia Khalifa is trying to go from the adult entertainment aspect of things to like the influencer aspect. So she was in the news recently for two things, or the first one's kind of boring. She thought that some people were following her on a yacht, stalking her. It's I don't have, like it's whatever.
Okay.
But the other one, the big one, is so this couple was out to eat. They're having dinner, right? And the husband actually like went and noticed like, oh shoot, that's Mia Khalifa sitting like maybe like a table or two tables down, and proceeded to go on his phone and get super excited about it and text all his buddies. And so his wife made a TikTok like, oh, like point of view, and you're out to dinner with your husband, and all he's doing is like talking about Mia Khalifa and just getting super excited and like sending videos to his buddies or whatever. And then it's her like drinking her champagne, and it went viral, like viral. And
Yep.
the couple actually ended. So Mia Khalifa responded to the TikTok actually, being the influencer she is, and said, "Oh, he should buy you a Birkin," which the husband did, and they, the couple made a TikTok. The the girl out of the couple, made a TikTok about it, like showing the Birkin, like, oh, he followed through. They eventually actually made the three of them made a TikTok together, Mia
Wow.
Khalifa, and the couple. So yeah, she went viral from it.
They got a little
Me,
love triangle going on.
yeah, there you go. Yeah, so they made like a skit, kind of like going over the whole experience. The whole debate is, if you're out here, you're out to dinner with your girlfriend. You see someone like Mia Khalifa, a famous, ex-adult entertainer. Would you, and not Coben says, bro, I would text all my friends too. Would you ignore it, try to salvage the relationship in front of you, or would you would you be taking pictures and like selfies and all that, with Mia Khalifa?
Man, that's a rough one. If I was out, I mean, my girlfriend, right, and I saw somebody like her or her, I probably would text my friends and be like, "Yo, look, guess who I see." But I probably wouldn't make it extremely obvious to my date that
Right.
that I knew, first of all, that I even knew who that was, because who's Mia Khalifa? I don't know who that is.
Right.
I don't watch porn. And you know, so like there's no way that I would make it that obvious. And like, but I mean, in the end of the day, it worked out for all of them, because now they're all famous
Right.
on TikTok. So more power to them.
Right.
I guess it also depends on the type of girlfriend that you have, if she's somebody who's going to get like upset about something like that or
Right.
not, right?
Wants to get famous from it.
You know, but I mean, in the end of the day, like, yes, it is exciting to see somebody who's a celebrity. So, you know, I mean, if I, you know, it's a different type of celebrity though, right? Because it's, you know, it's porn. That's what it is.
Yeah.
Yeah, and Mia Khalifa, actually, you probably know this already, but maybe for our viewers that don't, she was only in that industry for less than a year.
Yeah. Yeah.
And she became so famous off of that, for something that she did for such a short amount of time, and
More power
probably
to
has
her.
not done now for like over a decade at this
Right.
point.
I mean,
So like,
that's awesome for her. Like, more power to her.
I don't
Like,
know. I mean, I could see it from both ends though, man. I could see it being awesome for her, yes, because she's famous, but also not awesome for her because maybe she doesn't want to be famous for that. I don't know though. I really don't know.
fair, and that's what she's trying, you know, and a lot of the, you know, adult entertainers who are now no longer doing it are kind of like a lot of Rose, like Mia Khalifa, are trying to get out of it. You know, use the name to, you know, show like, hey,
Yeah.
you know, I get business. I know, you know, they're doing their own thing, you know,
Mhm.
influencing business, this, that, whatever.
Yeah. And they have all the power to use their influence to like do other things
Yeah,
too. Like, so
especially, you
they
know, like, yeah,
so that is why it's awesome, because like when you have that type of influence, you have power, and power equals you're gonna make money because everybody
yeah,
wants you to do an ad for them or whatever.
right,
So you know, that's cool. But yeah, I mean, getting back to the guy at the dinner, I mean, I would have probably kept it to myself, but also texted all my friends.
right, like on the down low. All
Yeah.
right, so two last quick segments for you, James. So this is a in this day in history. You know, of course, we're talking about trending topics of the day on MetaMattTV. Let's talk about something that was trending on this day, but a long time ago, or not very a long time ago. In this case, was back in 1966. On this
Mhm.
day, August 12th, 1966, during a press conference, John Lennon of the Beatles apologized for saying that his band was more popular than Jesus now. The comment had sparked protests and album burning. So it's funny, you know, this is back in the year 1966. Him say, you know, my album is more popular than Jesus was like the big, you know, thing. Nowadays, someone says that's like whatever. Like
Yeah,
the
nobody.
amount of controversy. It's just funny seeing the, you know, how controversy because of social media, like you were saying before, how controversy has just like blasted off like that
Skyrocketed, yeah. Mhm.
skyrocketed like now just the things that we're just talking, you know, like, you know, with, you know, Kim Kardashian, Mia Khalifa, you know, all these people, you know, Trump, Biden, like that, like the little things, you know, compared, you know, it would have been little things back then. Now it's like, you know, all getting blown out of proportion. It's wild. What what do you think of it? You think that social media is the big factor for that?
I think, yeah, I mean, yeah, obviously, yeah, I think social media is a big factor for like a lot of things, a lot of news getting passed around,
Mm.
things that are true, things that aren't true, opinions that are formed on there, opinions that are just kind of like copied from others, right? People will say that they have a certain opinion to be popular, even if they don't actually have that opinion. I believe that to be very true.
Mm.
Right? They'll just go with whatever everybody else is saying so that people like them. Um, so I mean, yeah, I think the internet is definitely the culprit of all of that. I mean, we wouldn't have that. We wouldn't have that if we didn't have social media. But there's also good things about social media too. Obviously, I mean, the connection between people is so fast now,
I
and
mean, look at us here and
look
people
at
you
us
learn.
here,
It's like
dude.
this is
Yeah,
all because of social media.
I would have never known you. I would have never
Right.
known any of you guys that I work with now if it wasn't for social media. So it's also a beautiful thing, but you know, it's also a very ugly thing in some aspects.
Hmm. No, that's definitely true. And speaking of social media, one, you know, we were talking about TikTok, we're on YouTube, another big social media platform. This is our last segment,
Mhm.
is Reddit. And Reddit's I personally don't go on Reddit a lot, but I do love their Am I the Asshole threads. So have you heard of those? Yeah. Okay. So
Yes.
I'm gonna read one. I just want to guess your thoughts on this. So am I the asshole? Um so it goes, me and two other guys share an apartment together and we split all the bills. The only thing we don't split costs on is groceries. Everyone in charge of buying their own food. Everyone is in charge of buying their own food, and we don't trust whatever doesn't belong to us in the fridge. We put our names on everything so nothing gets mixed up. This issue has been going on almost a year, and I'm sick of it. One of my roommates keeps stealing my food. I get home from work, and containers with my leftovers are sometimes missing. And in quotes, he says they have my name written on it. Or my stuff finishes too quick. My gallon of milk, for example. I buy almond milk because I like the taste, but it seems to finish after a week, even though I've only drank once or twice. I confronted R about this a whole bunch of times. It's caused a lot of arguments. He outright tells me I'm crazy, even though it's so obvious. And the question is, am I the asshole for switching to regular milk to prove my lactose intolerant roommate keeps stealing from me?
No, not at all. I think that's an ingenious way to do it, honestly.
Right?
Like, I mean, the guy's lactose. Yeah, I'll get regular milk. Fuck you.
It's like you're not drinking my milk. Let's see. Like, are you gonna be spending like 2 hours in the bathroom every day now?
Yeah, that's great. I mean, that's even easier than what I was gonna say. I was gonna say that he should just set up like a spy cam.
Oh, well, there you go. Yeah.
And just see like, oh, is this guy stealing my milk or not? But
I think the spy cam is not only easier though, but also a little more humane.
More humane, you said?
Than making the lactose intolerant. I mean, he kind of deserves it for stealing and lying about it.
If he's putting the regular milk in the almond milk container,
that's what he's doing.
Oh, that's what he's doing.
But it's his. Well, here's the deal: it's his almond milk container with his name on it. In theory, the roommate should not be drinking
it at all.
Correct. So when he confronted the roommate, he's like, "Hey, why is this keeps? What's going on? Why I'm not drinking all this? What's going on?" The roommate said, "Wasn't me." So in order to prove it, the roommate being lactose intolerant, he decided, all right, well, let's see if it really is you. And he decided to dump the almond milk and put regular milk in to try to prove like, hey, it is you. You're drinking my milk, and now I know because you're like, shitting your brains out or whatever.
Yeah, you know what? I still think it's genius.
I mean, so too.
I think that's hilarious and also genius at the same time.
I feel like it's like right out of the episode, like an episode of The Office or something like that.
And you'll know if it's true if your roommate starts farting all over the place.
Yeah, right. It's almost a lose-lose. Well, it's not a win-lose, I guess. The lose being you have to deal with the smell.
Yeah,
the roommates.
Very true.
Well, James, I appreciate you coming on. I know I told you this would be like around like 20 minutes. It was an hour and 20 minutes.
It was fun.
We had a lot to talk about, though, so I do appreciate that. Any last thoughts before we head out?
No, not really. I think we have covered every subject, from A to Z. So I
do too. Awesome. Well, for all y'all listening, I do appreciate you tuning in. I'll be doing this on either daily or every other day, or sometime. I'm not exactly sure the schedule, but I'll be doing a lot of these types of videos where we just go over the comment section from the MetaMattTV TikTok, because I talk about a lot of the trending topics, controversial topics. I personally don't give my opinion in the TikTok, so that's what this YouTube is for me to bring someone on and then just kind of A, get some shout outs to the comments, and then B, give our opinions on what's going on. So thank y'all for tuning in. I hope to see you next time, but until then, I hope that you all make some bread.